Investments made their case last night for a $600 million data center in Midtown. That center would be built next to the Armory and a electricity substation. Ameren's James O'Mara said it would not raise people's electric rates and the developer would pay for additional infrastructure. But city residents on the Zoom weren't all convinced and wondered about transparency, since the developers aren't saying who the user of the data center would be, only that they had non-disclosure agreements with multiple potential users. There's a town hall Sunday at St. Cronin Catholic Church organized by groups opposed, and another Monday at the Sheet Metal Workers Union Hall on Shodo. Taking a look at the forecast from Joe Lundberg, he says we do have the potential of some rain today.
Cloudy to partly sunny this afternoon, a shower or two mainly early, high 75. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a shower around early, then becoming clear by morning, low 58. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 64 degrees and cloudy. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Man, a lot of sports are happening now. This is one of the best times of the year. You've got hockey, which is underway. Basketball is coming up. Football is going on, both college and professional. Baseball playoffs are happening right now. So the Gashouse Gang on this Friday with Mike Claiborne and Matt Pauley here with you until 1 o'clock today. So on the show today, we're going to talk to Nate Gatter, who is calling Illinois, Ohio State. He's got the call of that game for Westwood 1. That's at 12:30. We'll talk to him. And at 12:45, we will talk to former quarterback Steve Berline, who is calling the Carolina Dallas Cowboys game. That is on Sunday, also here on KMOX. But gentlemen, last night, the start of the Blues season did not go great. 5-0 shutout at home against the Minnesota Wild. It's one game, so you can't really worry too much about it, but not a great start.
See, I thought the game started tonight. I thought opening night was tonight.
So did
Apparently
they.
The Blues did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what time's face-off this evening? I don't want to miss it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they misjudged. They're not going to play again till tomorrow. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is a game tomorrow. They're on the road in Calgary. That's an afternoon game, by the way.
So let me get this straight. We have Mizzou and Illinois playing at 11 o'clock. We have the Blues playing in the afternoon, and we have baseball tomorrow night, not to mention a pretty good college football game somewhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So fresh batteries are suggested, I would think.
Yeah, charge your phone if you're watching on your phone, your iPad. Make sure you pay your Spectrum bill or whatever, your YouTube TV. Pay for all, because tomorrow's going to be a really fun day. You're right. Got a game 5 in a division series.
Yeah.
The baseball's been a lot of fun. And my God, we'll talk about the Blues here. But now that you bring it up, I don't know that if you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan, how you are coping today, or the Philly fans in general, because they lost to the Giants last. Yeah, all 3 games. The Flyers
lost too.
Yep. It's the first time that all 3 Phillies teams have lost on the same day since 1983. And
if you're a Philly fan, why don't you just call somebody in Boston and ask them how they feel after Bill Buckner let one go through the wickets?
Yeah. I feel like Boston's they made up for it, though. They had about a 20-year period where they won everything. So I don't ever want to hear from a Boston sports fan ever again about it. I never want to hear them complain. They won in every sport.
They've had a pretty good run.
Yeah.
I know it's sports. I know it's Major League Baseball. I know these guys get paid a lot of money, but I couldn't. Every time I watch that replay, I feel bad for the pitcher, for Kirk Green. That's such a bad moment for him, and it's gonna be something that sticks with him for a while. And he was distraught in the clubhouse afterwards. I was kind of overcome by the human side of it last night, because I felt so bad that he made that play, and what happened.
I agree with you. It's one of those things, and we've seen spring training where they work on PFP, and it was one of those things where, and we see it a lot with the Cardinals, the game speeds up on young players. And no matter how many times you go through the drill, if you don't breathe and if you don't allow the game come to you, things like that happen.
How bad of a loss is that? I mean, I don't know that there are, and I've seen a lot of people ask the question, and Amy and I were talking about it a little bit today about, is that loss worse than the Blues with 2 seconds giving up the game, in against Winnipeg in
Depends
the
on what city
playoffs?
you're in.
Right. But I mean, man, that is one of the worst ways. What happened last night has to be one of the worst ways ever to lose a series.
For me, the
Yeah, that's
difference
worse than a
is
walk-off
that
home run.
it's worse than a walk-off home run without a doubt. I think that when doing the Blues comparison, the Blues were about to win that game, and they let it go in the final few moments. There was no guarantee that the Phillies were going to win that game. It was in extra innings.
Right.
Extra innings, is so wild. Like, you just don't know what's going to end up happening. So that's where I differentiate the two. I think there's a difference between being on the brink of winning and losing in really tough fashion, and in a game like that where there was no guarantee who was going to end up winning that game.
I have seen I think that the way, and you described this pretty well, Matt, the way he was in the clubhouse after the game, pretty distraught. And he was clear, and I don't remember the exact word he used, but he essentially said, he got nervous. I guess he got overwhelmed in the moment. And for people who did not see the play, I would think by now you have, but it's bases loaded, 2 outs in the 11th inning, tie game. They just have to get out the inning and they'll move on to the 12th, and a ground ball right back to him, right back to the pitcher. He kicked it a little bit. It rolled a couple of feet away from him. He went and picked up the ball, and he had all kinds of time. He would have had to make a quick play, but he had plenty of time to throw to first, and instead decided to throw home and threw it away. It was such a mental error. And like you said, Claves, if it's a home run, that's one thing. You can get over a home run, game-winning home run. That is tough to get over a mental error like that. And he said he just kind of in the moment got nervous and it overwhelmed him.
Yeah, and we see that, but we don't take into account everything else that's going on. Everybody's yelling and screaming, and maybe he was so blocked out that he didn't hear anybody say go first, or that was the logical play. Or did he know how many outs there were in the inning? Because you have this guy coming down the third baseline, so you're thinking you have to cut him down at the plate, because obviously the logical play is go to first. But maybe he didn't know how many outs there were, and that happens in the game where guys don't know.
Happens a lot. I think it happens more often than we even know. But yeah, I mean, we see the things happen where guys will throw the ball into the stands when there's only one out, or they'll just
yeah.
Things
how about
like
Pete Crow Armstrong?
Yeah. And, that's a mistake he'll probably never make again in his career, but it was a terrible mistake in the moment. So I'm not trying to let the guy off the hook. He made a mistake. He commits an error, and this is Major League Baseball, and your team's going home because of it, partly because of it. The fact that they couldn't score any more runs at any other time, a big part of it as well. But just in the moment for a young guy like that to make that mistake on that stage, it's tough. And I think most people in the world would not be able to handle the spotlight that goes along with that kind of mistake. I've got MLB Network on my TV in my office right now, and that's all they're talking about. I've seen that replay 9 million times. This guy cannot turn on MLB Network now without seeing this.
You know what, though? When you look at the big picture of things, this young man woke up this morning. He has a life in front of him. He has a family, I'm sure. And he's got a lot of things that are positive about what's in front of him compared to somebody else who lost a family member, who's somebody in another part of the world who died for some unknown selfless reason. So I think it's a better situation than what it is, because the grass is maybe a little greener today than maybe he thought it was going to be.
So with that, there are 2 Game 5 the series with the Tigers and Mariners. That will be tonight. It is a 7:00 game. And then tomorrow, the Cubs and the Brewers, they will be playing in Milwaukee. Tonight's game is in Seattle. You guys have a pick for either of these who will be advancing to the LCS games?
Well, I have Seattle going to the World Series, so I'm obviously pulling for them, and they're very good at home. They're facing one of the best pitchers in the game, so that could be a handful. But as we're learning, runs are hard to come by in bunches these days. So I'm going with Seattle. I don't like the Cubs or Milwaukee for a lot of different reasons other than the fact they're in our division. But Milwaukee's kind of earned this thing. I mean, they've been good from coast to coast. And I think because they're at home, I like their chances.
I'm with Claibs on Seattle. I think even with Skubal on the mound, and Skubal is arguably the best pitcher walking the face of the earth right now. Even with Skubal on the mound, the better team at home in a winner-take-all game, I'm going to take Seattle because they are the better overall team. I'll disagree with him on Cubs Brewers. I think the Cubs unleashed themselves last night when they're hitting home run after home run. We've seen the Cardinals have seen that when the Cubs start feeling themselves. It's tough to stop them. And historically speaking, in these 5-game series, in the moments where a team wins the first 2 and loses the next 2, the team that lost the next 2, overall, generally speaking, more often than not, the team that's won 2 in a row makes it 3 in a row and finishes it off. So, and if that ends up happening,
I'm gonna flip that coin here.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when we see teams get embarrassed, shut out, they find a way to come back the next day. And that's really my X factor on why I like Milwaukee. They don't have 2 bad games in a row.
They don't, and they've been really good all year. I don't know if they can stop the Cubs from hitting home runs, and that's kind of how I look at it. The entire state of Wisconsin will need to be put on mental health watch if they lose that game.
Good thing they don't have a lot of tall buildings in Wisconsin.
Yeah, against Craig Counsell and the Cubs, if they go in there and win, that is not going to be good for Brewers fans.
I would love to know what that gut feeling is right now and how nervous everybody is. I'm not talking players or coaches, and maybe some of that seeps in, but they are players and they're professionals, and they're trying not to think about it. But for the fan base, they have got to be absolutely crapping themselves right now.
Here's the other thing about this series, because it would be different if the Cubs and Brewers didn't know each other.
Right.
It'd be different if they were playing in different divisions, whatever. But the coaches and managers know everybody, players know everybody. So there's nothing that's gone unchecked, including the regular season. Now you're in postseason against them. I mean, you just got to show up and just play, man, and not overthink this.
And the cities are 90 minutes apart by car, and Cubs fans there'll probably be 30% of the building will be Cubs fans tomorrow.
I don't know. I think Brewer fans are going to make sure they don't sell those tickets. They want to be there for it.
Like the Nashville Predators do? They're going to try that Predators thing?
I went on StubHub this morning, and there are a lot of tickets that are on sale for that game. Brewers fans are looking to make a few bucks. Yeah, there's these the cheapest tickets are like $700-800. So Brewers fans are trying to line their pockets for this one.
Wow.
If you go to StubHub,
well, it's going to be a cold winter in Wisconsin, so
they got a roof. They got a roof.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, I want to talk about another couple of baseball things. One of them we talked to Matt Pauley about earlier in the week when the news broke, but have not gotten Mike Claiborne's thoughts on it, and that is in regard to Yadier Molina potentially joining the coaching staff. This, according to a report this week. Also, Skip Schumacher was introduced officially as the Texas Rangers manager, so congratulations to him. But we'll talk about that. We will get into the Blues as well a little bit here. Speaking of getting shut out last night, they did 5-0. They lose their opener. Got Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji. This is the Gashouse Gang, and it is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Hi, Stacy with Fairwinds Rivers Edge Senior Living in St. Charles. Are you a senior seeking a fun retirement? Do you want less work and more play? Do you want to enjoy great food that you don't have to cook? Then I know. Stop what you're doing right now and call Fairwinds. Set up a time to visit and have a meal. Meet some of our awesome residents. Check us out online at fairwindsriversedge.com. We hope to talk with you soon.
Welcome to Coffee House. How are you today?
Hi, great, thanks. May I get a sea salt caramel latte with almond milk, extra caramel, extra shot, iced,
gross,
and to go, please. Did you get all that?
No, I was just ringing you up for all the extras. Can you repeat your order, please?
Oh, never mind. I'm just going to go.
Stop paying extra for extras. Get fancy coffee without the fancy coffee price at Quick Trip. Raise your coffee bar.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case costs. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After a coma, a miracle, and the fight of my life, I made it back to the games wearing my signature cowboy hat and jersey. Then came the baseball pants, the replica trophy, and the smiles and joy from the young fans. That's when the Cardinal Cowboy was born. Renner Garage Door knows how to bring joy too. With top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, and family service you can trust, get your free repair or replacement quote today. Forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER. News, talk, cars. 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's Mike Claiborne and Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang until 1 o'clock. Former Carolina Panthers and Cowboys quarterback Steve Berline will be on the show at 12:45. Cowboys and Panthers play each other on Sunday. And there is a very big college football game. Number 1, Ohio State in Champaign against the Fighting Illini tomorrow. And Nate Gatter has the call for Compass Media. So we will be talking to Nate here at just after 12:30. So let's talk about Yadier Molina, guys, because a report from Puerto Rico a couple of days ago said that both he and the Cardinals are in talks. Nothing is done, but they have been talking about the possibility of him joining Oliver Marmel's coaching staff for 2026. And for a lot of people, they've been talking about him being the manager. And we have heard from Benji Molina a number of times that his brother wants to be a manager in Major League Baseball. So, Claibs, I haven't gotten your thoughts on this, but how do you feel about the possibility of Yadi joining the coaching staff?
Well, it would be a welcome addition. Now that the league has allowed more coaches, it seems like players in the dugout, I mean, what wouldn't be right with Yadi being on part of the staff? I mean, just his wisdom and knowledge and observation would certainly be an asset. As a coach, I don't know if you just hand the keys to him. I think you still have a manager under contract. So I think it would be good.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you get a veteran in your dugout who's seen the game from where he sits, I think it's got to be a plus.
Yeah, I think some of the details, though, need to get figured out as well, because we don't know for sure if they're talking about him being an everyday member of the coaching staff or
bench
just
coach
something where
or something. Who knows?
Maybe he just pops in
they have a
more often than before. I think the thing that's out there is the fact that Skip Schumacher just got the job in Texas, and Albert Pujols may get the job with the Angels. You might have some openings on the coaching staff at some point. There might be some people who leave to go work with those two with their connections to the Cardinals. So whether Molina is a bench coach, whether he's just a coach and they don't, and gives him the opportunity to impact the team in many ways, whether it's a full-time, he's there every single day sort of deal, or if it's just more of a, he's there in spring training and he's going to pop in a couple times a month for 3 games here, 3 games there. Like what I'm basically throwing out every possible scenario makes the Cardinals better to have him part of it more. So I'm in favor of all of it.
I want to get to Claib's point about that, Claibs, because you did say, man, they do have a bench coach right now. And we heard Chaim Bloom, the new president of baseball operations, say that he likes the way the coaching staff worked at the end of the season in that series against the Cubs, how they did not quit. So he likes that. Do we expect there to be much turnover, if at all, on that coaching staff?
I don't think so, unless you have some younger guys like Packy. His name's his name escapes me. His last name
Elkins.
But guys who are game plan, Packy Elkins. Yeah, guys who do the game planning behind the scenes, who may be ready to be on the dirt in some way, shape, or form. But also the fact is you're going to increase your coaching staff and you're trying to centralize certain positions. I'm not sure. Now, think about this. Is a John Jay ready to be a bench coach in Texas or in Anaheim if Albert gets the job? I think you have to look at someone along that line, a younger guy who is ready to elevate to the next level.
So yeah, I agree with that. And I hope, man, just for John Jay's so good at coaching outfielders.
He is, man.
As much as I want to see him get a bigger opportunity, this is not the time that I want to see him walking out of the organization.
I would agree with you. And here's the other thing we have to take into account. Everybody says hire him as a coach. I don't think people understand the responsibilities and the hours that go into coaching. I think coaches spend more time at the ballpark than anyone other than the equipment manager and his staff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you better think about, because now coaches had this off season off. They could be with their families. They can do this. Now you see coaches checking in on players in their home and seeing if they're doing the right things. And it becomes almost maybe an 11-month-a-year job. And that's a grind on people, not to mention the fact that you're going to play 162 and 180 days, not including spring training and the long hours you have there. So before you sign the paperwork, you better talk to somebody about the requirements that are going to be had to be able to assume that job.
And Yadier was very well known for being an incredibly hard worker and extra work before and after. What you're talking about, coaching, is a little bit of a different animal, though.
There's no doubt. I mean, when you see guys going to the ballpark at noon for a 7:00 game, and the last one's on the last bus to get that back to the hotel that night, you try that for 162 and see how you like it.
That's a lot.
It really is. So I mentioned Skip Schumacher got the job in Texas after being he's been the Marlins manager in the past. So how do you think he'll do with the Rangers?
I think he'll do great. That's a good team. When you look at the players they have on that ball club and some of the younger players they have coming through their organization, Skip's going to have a real good advantage to be in postseason early.
They're talking about a rebuild there. That's part of why Bruce Bochy walked out the door. The financial uncertainty term is the word that we keep hearing from the Rangers. So I think the Rangers may be moving in a little bit of direction that the Cardinals are in. If they leave the roster the way it is, you're right, Claibs. You like what's there, but they seem to be worried about money. They're always worried about money in Texas, and if that organization might take a step back before it takes another step forward, they might be looking past 2027.
You committed to Simeon and Seager. DeGrom, you just don't know. And you have some other guys that you're about to start paying at some point. So you make a good point where maybe they say, let's move these guys now before we really have to pay them and try and build around Simeon and Seager.
Yeah.
All right. So, fellas, any encouraging words for the Blues who will play tomorrow afternoon in Calgary?
Don't worry about last night. I'll tell you a quick story. The year the Blues signed Mike Keenan to a contract to coach the Blues, And it was the first game, and they opened up the season against the Chicago Blackhawks. And that's when the Blackhawks decided not to bring Wayne Messner back as their national anthem singer. So what they do, they brought him here. He sang the national anthem. Blues got beat 6-0. The last we saw of Wayne Messner in St. Louis. So opening night has been a dud for the Blues in the past.
I didn't think it was that bad for the Blues until they and Jim Montgomery said basically the same thing in his post game. I was watching. Yeah, it was but as I was watching, like they were on a power play at one point. They were putting lots of shots on net. They just it just wasn't going their way, and then it got bad. It wasn't all good, obviously. And Jim's right when he talks about once it got 3-0, it got bad pretty quickly. But I'm not overly upset about the effort I saw from some of the game. It's 1 of 82. Move on, you'll be fine.
All right, gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. Talk to you next week.
All right.
Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang. We're not done, though. We are going to talk a little bit of college football when we come back. Nate Gatter is on the call for tomorrow's game between the Fighting Illini and number 1 Ohio State. It's happening in Champaign. This is a very big game. So we're going to talk to Nate, who's got the call for Westwood 1. That is next on 104.1 FM KMOX. It's the Gashouse Gang.
Never predictable, always entertaining. Dave Glover, now celebrating 25 years.
Dave, Brad Young here. Congratulations on 25 years of radio greatness. You went from losing cases in court to winning hearts on the airwaves in St. Louis. And as your legal analyst, I can confirm. Here's to 25 more years of DGS genius and 0 billable hours.
The Dave Glover Show, weekdays at 1 p.m. on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Sponsored by Law Office of Susan L. Ward.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Right now, it is 62 degrees in St. Louis and mostly cloudy. The high today will be 75. Weather brought to you by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. PennMutual.com/STL. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Ultra, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Ultra helps Mike fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs so he can wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-894-7722. That's 800-894-7722. Again, 800-894-7722.
You've got a ton of equity in your home. You're sitting on a gold mine, and you could do so much with all that cash, like travel, invest it, or pay off debt, but you can't touch it unless you sell your home. But you really don't want to move. And besides, homes are sitting on the market for a long time these days. You're trapped, right? Well, not with Truehold. With Truehold, you can cash out your equity in as little as 30 days. And listen, you don't have to move. You can stay in the home you love as a renter. So that's Truehold's Sell and Stay program. You cash out your entire home's value and stay put. Truehold even covers property taxes, property insurance, and essential repairs. So imagine using that equity to travel, invest, or pay off debt and stay in your home. It's brilliant, especially in this slow market. You get an all-cash offer now by calling 1-855-300-9993. You can also visit Truehold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Quo lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? Quo automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Quo's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions and use those insights to level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Quo. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/try and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's quo.com/try. QUO.com/try.
Fridays mean football. From the zoo to the NFL, we've got your weekend covered.
On three, ready?
It's Friday football on KMOX.
Tomorrow, it's a big day for both the Missouri Tigers, who have Alabama in Columbia, and for the Fighting Illini in Champaign. They will host the number one team in the country. Ohio State comes to town. And so to talk about that with us is Nate Gatter, KMOX host here and lead college football play-by-play announcer for Westwood One. Nate is on the call for the Illini and Buckeyes tomorrow. Are you ready, buddy?
Yeah, we're excited. It should be a good time. It's very rare. So far, it's been once a year that I get to drive to a game that we're doing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so this is, that's a big one. And it has been a long time since the Fighting Illini have had a game like this, and Ohio State being number one, while they are also ranked. That's huge, man. So I know that the Buckeyes are something like a 14.5-point favorite on the road because they are very, very good. They're better at probably just about every position. But what does Illinois have going for them?
Illinois has a veteran quarterback with a lot of good skill position options to try to spread the ball around. Obviously, Hank Beatty gets the majority of attention with close to 600 receiving yards already this year. But Luke Altmaier is the exact kind of guy that you want in an upset scenario, right? A senior quarterback who's been around, and he's off to a fantastic start this year. 74% completion, 262 yards a game. He hasn't thrown an interception. In fact, Ron, he's the first quarterback in the FBS to average at least 250 yards per game passing, with at least 12 touchdowns and no interceptions through the first 6 games of the season since Marcus Mariota did it for Oregon in 2014. So, obviously it's not elite competition at the very first few games of a year, but Illinois has played some quality teams by this stage, and they've also played all the way up until this point without a bye, which not a lot of teams in college football have done, especially not who have played on the road already, because Missouri has gone all this way, went a long way before having the bye week last week, but they've played exclusively at home so far this year. So they haven't had the wear and tear of travel. They haven't had to deal with the road crowds, anything like that. If I were Illinois, I'd say you're dealing with a coaching staff that's been around, that knows what they're doing at the top level. You have a quarterback who knows what he's doing, a veteran group of pass catchers. It's going to take some good fortune, but they have experience in the places that you want to have it, and they have a home crowd on their side. So I don't think it's likely, but they've got some ingredients in the normal recipe to an upset. Let's say that.
It is a good football team. I think what happened against Indiana sort of made all of us step back and go, whoa, all right. Maybe they're not as good as we thought. They rebounded nicely from that. So, I mean, how much did that game affect how you see them as a team this season?
I don't know. I think early in the season in college football, I'm always wary of putting too much stock in an individual game just because things can happen and get away. Also, Indiana, there's a chance that we're managing to do the same thing this year that we did last year with Indiana, although in a slightly different way, which is just downplay how good they are and downplay how good they are until we have no choice but to reckon with how good they are. This weekend is going to be a big prove-it for Indiana. If they go to Oregon and lose by 20 points and get dominated kind of in the way they did by Notre Dame in the playoff last year, I think you get a lot of people saying, well, this is kind of the same, they are who we thought they were. Fair or unfair, I think that would be the narrative. If they go to Oregon and even lose close, let alone win, I think at some point you have to just give credit for the fact that Indiana very well might be a true top 10 team. Who knows? Maybe they're even a top 5 team. And you have to reckon with that possibility. So I wouldn't overreact to it. However, do I think there's a ceiling on this Illinois team that keeps them away from the top of the Big Ten, being certainly Ohio State and Oregon, and we thought Penn State before that kind of fell apart. Maybe now Indiana is that third team. Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a chasm between the top of the league and Illinois. And in fact, I think, one team has crossed the chasm, right? Penn State would have been on the good side of that. They've crossed now to the bad side unless they prove otherwise. And Indiana is the only one that's kind of they're on the rickety bridge between them right now. And we're going to find out which way they're going. I think this weekend is going to tell us a lot. But for the most part in college football, there are still haves and have-nots. I think NIL has changed that a little bit. It's leveled the playing field a little bit. It's opened the door for upstart teams. But there's no question, if Illinois wins this game, it will be because of an upset. In fact, so when I say that, you say, well, anytime an underdog wins, it's an upset. Kind of. We had Florida and Texas last weekend in the Swamp. Florida was like a 5 or 6 point underdog in that game. Maybe it was 4.5 by the time it kicked off, but it was something like that. Texas was certainly still a solid favorite. Florida won that game convincingly. In the end, it was only by 6 points. They should have won by more. Florida controlled the game all the way through. They were very good in the trenches on both sides. They rushed the passer really well. They ran the ball well. They threw it well. They were explosive. They were the better team in every facet of the game. And they failed to capitalize on some opportunities here and there. They should have won that game by 2 or 3 scores. It felt like they were in control all the way. Okay, that's an upset in the sense that it was not what people predicted. It was not what Vegas predicted. But it never felt like an upset during the game. An upset during the game is one where it feels like, especially if it's a home team like this, like they are clinging by their fingernails to the edge of a cliff the entire game. And it's somehow another 5 minutes have gone by. Somehow we've reached halftime. Somehow now we've gotten to the end of the third quarter and they're still winning, right? They've blocked a punt. Ohio State has missed 2 field goals. They had a ball bounce off a guy's hands and get caught in the end zone for a touchdown. They recovered a weird fumble. That kind of stuff that can happen in a game. Or they reach deep for a bunch of trick plays or whatever. You know how it feels when a team that is not as good finds a way to win a game. And that doesn't take anything away from the fact that they won the game. That's what we're here to do. But that's the kind of game it's going to have to be for Illinois. I don't see any possibility that at the end of the day tomorrow we're saying, wow, we misjudged this game in the way that a lot of people, I think, misjudged Florida and Texas last Saturday. If Illinois wins, it will be because they followed the playbook of an upset and enough things went their way and they pulled it off. And they will deserve credit for it if they do it. And like I said, they have some of the ingredients, but it's going to take that kind of upset.
Meanwhile, Mizzou will host Alabama. This one's a little bit of a closer matchup, I think, here. And the Tigers have been really impressive so far this year. Alabama's not what they once were. We're not in the Nick Saban days any longer. They'll play in Columbia. Are we? How likely is? Can you see an upset happening here? Can you see Mizzou winning a game?
Ranj, I am completely terrified of this game because all of a sudden, all the national conversation is about, Missouri's should be pretty close here. Missouri's got a real chance. And, if you did blind resumes here, if you closed your eyes, if you couldn't see the color of the helmets, you might say Missouri's the favorite here. And I'm thinking to myself, I just don't feel comfortable with that at all. We saw Alabama a couple of weeks ago. We did Alabama against Georgia in Athens, and it was a totally different Alabama team than we saw against Florida State week one. And I don't know if that's Ty Simpson getting comfortable, because he looked utterly comfortable in Athens. He never looked like – there was one 4th down when things got a little out of whack for them and the snap count got off and it got wonky. Other than that one play, he never looked remotely bothered by a sellout crowd in Athens, Georgia. They executed the way they were supposed to. They just played an Alabama football game. They were disciplined. They executed. They made one pretty high-profile mistake, and other than that, they were very smooth. They had some other physical mistakes. So, Ryan Williams dropped a touchdown pass, but those things are going to happen. They executed in the way that they haven't done historically, the way Alabama did under Nick Saban, the way they haven't done under Kalen DeBoer, especially in early season road games in difficult environments. I think I have a lot of respect, obviously, for the Missouri crowd, and I think highly of them. It's difficult to create the kind of environment they faced in prime time in Athens at 11 a.m. in Columbia. It's just hard to do. And I don't see Alabama being intimidated. If this game had been week 2, coming right off the Florida State loss and all that noise that was surrounding this program, all the pressure that was on them, it might be a different story. I think they've found their footing, and it's just going to be very, very difficult for Missouri to match up for 60 minutes. Not because I think Missouri's top line on the depth chart is good. I think they're more talented than they've been maybe in my lifetime. Certainly this is the most talented team since 2013 for Missouri. I don't know if they have the depth to go toe-to-toe because, Alabama's got 4 and 5 stars at the 3rd and 4th spots on the depth chart. Alabama's going to run running backs out there at you all day who are not as good as Ahmad Hardy, but they're not that far off, and they're going to be able to keep legs fresh into the second half. I'm not saying that Missouri can't do it. I am a big believer in what they've got going. I'm saying if you force me to put money on it, I'm still taking Alabama.
Mizzou, Alabama in Columbia get going at 11 o'clock. So do the Fighting Illini and Buckeyes in Champaign, 11 o'clock. Nate Gatter is on the call for that one for Westwood 1. Enjoy the ball game tomorrow, buddy.
We will have fun, sir. I hope Missouri enjoys theirs as well.
That is Nate Gatter joining us. And when we come back, we're going to talk about professional football, the NFL, as the Panthers and Cowboys will play at noon on Sunday. Steve Berline was a quarterback for both teams at one point, and he is on the call for Compass Media. We have that game at 12 o'clock, so we'll be talking to Steve Berline in just a moment. But at FanDuel, they are America's #1 sports book, and it's great because you've got those professional and college games that you will be able to bet on soon here in Missouri. In fact, starting December 1st, the app will be live to use. Such a great time of year. Also, hockey and basketball will be going on at that time. And to use FanDuel, tons of ways to do it. Bet the game straight up. You can bet the spread. You can bet the futures, like who's going to win the division or the championship. And FanDuel makes it super easy to do that, including live betting. So if you're watching and you want to pick the player you think is going to score the next touchdown and the one after that, you can do that while the game is going on with FanDuel. So download the app now and get familiar with it because, again, it will be live to use in less than 2 months. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Visit FanDuel.com/Missouri to download the app now. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and over and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com. Red Kingdom is back at FanDuel Sports Network Live in Ballpark Village. See every game on the largest screen in town. Don't forget about the $25 buckets, $5 cocktails, and the best tailgate food around. Grab your friends along with KMOX and huddle up for the games at the best watch party in town. If you can't make it, but don't want to miss a down, listen to the Chiefs on KMOX or KMOX on the Odyssey app. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Dave, congratulations on your 25th anniversary from BioBalance Health, Dr. Sullivan, and me personally. You have single-handedly helped us reach hundreds of new patients, both men and women, over the past 15 years. Since 2010, BioBalance has been treating men and women over the age of 40 with testosterone pellets and preventative medicine. BioBalance Health was the first medical hormone pellet practice in St. Louis. Now we are the most successful. Dave has not only been our partner at BioBalance Health, but also our patient and great friend. Thanks, Dave.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Yeah, Cowboys and Panthers this Sunday. It is a 12 o'clock game, and we've got the call right here on KMOX. You're going to want to be tuned in for that. We also got the 7:20 game. Chiefs will be taking on the Lions, so a big football day here on KMOX. It is the Gashouse Gang, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. It is time to go to the guest line today. Steve Berline is a radio analyst for Compass Media. He's on the call for Cowboys Panthers on Sunday, and also happens to have played for both teams, quarterback for both teams, a Pro Bowler at one time. Steve Berline is with us on KMOX. Steve, it's good to talk to you. How are you doing?
Hey, it's great to talk with you guys, too. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we are excited about the season. Week 6 is happening right now, and a lot has happened around the league. But let's talk about this game first. On Sunday, the Cowboys come into town against Carolina. Cowboys are 2-1. The Panthers are 2-3. So do you like the matchup? You're talking about two former teams of yours here.
Right. And there's great history, from my perspective with both teams. I had really positive experiences with both the Panthers and the Cowboys. But, they're two teams that I don't think have a whole lot in common. The Cowboys are a team and an organization, obviously, that has high expectations going into every year. We've got a lot of very well, known players on the roster, both sides of the ball, obviously starting with, Dak Prescott, a proven guy that many people are saying is, playing at as high a level as any quarterback in the league right now. And then you go to Bryce Young with the Carolina Panthers. You got a guy who a lot of people are still questioning whether he's ever going to be that franchise quarterback. And you can go through the whole, roster of both of these teams and say a lot of the same things. Obviously, the Cowboys are still a very long way away from being a very good football team. But I think a lot of people are thinking that they can kind of put this thing together and maybe with the Philadelphia Eagles slipping a little bit, maybe they can find a way to get themselves in that playoff conversation, come December and into January. So the Panthers, I think, are just a team that's looking for respectability. And, the similarities kind of differ. I mean, they kind of end right there.
Yeah. And, you mentioned Bryce Young, who is, it's interesting because it feels to me, and maybe I'm just misremembering, but it seems like there is so much more attention focused on young quarterbacks in the last few years than maybe there ever has collectively, because you've got so many good ones who have come up and have made an immediate impact. Jaden Daniels, we talk about, CJ Stroud, who was picked behind Young in that draft. And, maybe Caleb Williams now, you could start talking about him a little bit. Trevor Lawrence, it took a little bit, but, it looks like he's right. What do you think Young eventually is going to end up being? Because that's the big question. He was the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and there's still a lot to be determined as far as how that goes. When you pick a guy with that first pick, I think a lot of people forget that it's probably, if you really do the research and look back over history, it's probably not much better than a 50-50 proposition, if even that, of that guy really panning out to be the franchise quarterback that you were hoping he would be. And, Bryce Young, I think, has given people lots of reason for optimism, on certain stretches of his career, like I think late last season, the way he finished up, with some of the productive games toward the end of the season. He's a guy that I think people are saying, oh, maybe he's starting to figure it out. And then, of course, the struggles came back again the early part of this year. He seems to follow up good, solid, consistent games with a kind of a flop game. And that's really one of the first things that I think any head coach and any organization looks for and asks out of their quarterback is consistency. You can't have a good week and then a poor week. And you've got to be a real stable, consistent force out there. And if you don't have that in your quarterback, you're going to have a hard time making it in this league. So I still believe I still believe Bryant can be that guy. But I'm not convinced that he's eliminated any of the doubt. Let's just put it that way. I mean, he's got a lot of proving still to do before people stop, voicing and expressing their concern about him.
It's interesting because it was after last season. It was you had all these people saying obviously they should have taken C.J. Stroud instead. He was the better quarterback. I don't know how many people are saying that now. I mean, it has not gone particularly well for Stroud in this season after getting off to a really good start for Houston.
Yeah, well, I think you look at C.J. Stroud. His rookie year was obviously spectacular, but then you take what happened in year two, and this happens quite often. You hear about the sophomore jinx with quarterbacks. I think that definitely was the case with C.J. Stroud last year. And I think what happens when these guys have success in their first year, a lot of times because they're so young and they're so inexperienced and they're so immature in so many ways in terms of being a professional athlete, you think you got it figured out, and you maybe start taking some things for granted. Maybe you're not preparing quite as hard. Maybe you're getting some endorsement deals and people are telling you how great you are. Well, what you forget to realize is that there are about 31 other teams that are looking at every single play that you had the previous year, and they're finding what you do well and what you don't do so well. And guess what? Your second year, you're going to see a lot of what you don't do so well. You're going to see teams that put you in positions that you've shown to struggle previously, and the question is going to be, how well you can adapt and adjust and learn from those experiences. This year I thought he would come in and play at a very high level. Even though the team did come out and win, I think they went to either 2-1 or 3-0 to start the season. He was not playing at the same level, at the high level that you would expect a guy coming out of an experience like he had last year with the team winning. But he did play well this past week, and so I think there's reason for optimism with C.J. Stroud. And I think with what he's done in his first 3 years, he has proven himself to be a legitimate NFL quarterback that can, hopefully for the Houston Texans' sake, become the franchise guy for the next 10 years. I think there's a lot more reason to believe that with C.J. Stroud than there is right now with Bryant Young. But you could also make the case that C.J. Stroud's got a much better situation. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot more talent, a much more stable team environment than what Bryce Young has experienced in his first couple of years with the Panthers. So sometimes you got to realize you're not comparing apples to apples. Obviously, it doesn't matter when you get down to it. You've got to continue to develop and evolve as a quarterback and show that you're making the improvement despite the fact that maybe you're not in the best situation that would be considered ideal.
Panthers Cowboys Sunday at noon. It's on KMOX. Steve Berline, Pro Bowler. He will be on the call. We'll be listening. Thank you for joining us today, Steve.
You got it, man. Take care anytime. Thanks.
That is former quarterback Steve Berline with us, and that is it for the Gashouse Gang. We'll be back on Monday at 12 o'clock, and we hope that you will come back for that show. We appreciate you. Anything you missed is on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Dave Glover Show is next on 104.1 FM KMOX.